So, how exactly are you supposed to build wealth if you have little or no income at all? See, and that's such a stressful place to start from because you're trying to make ends meet. You're just trying to cover, like the basic essentials of life, and it's really stressful to think about growing your wealth when you can't even afford to put food on the table or buy toiletries. It's a stressful place to be in. This is exactly the reason why I created this YouTube channel. My entire channel is devoted to changing your mindset, increasing your income, and really just making a better financial future for yourself. Whether you have a ton of money sitting in the bank or you have nothing at all, today we're talking about how you can build wealth and pad your wallet just a little bit more. Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm Bryce with SaneSense.com, where, as always, we talk about everything from personal finance to real estate investing. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so by clicking the little button down below. And as always, if you could hit that like button for me, that really helps us out with the YouTube algorithm. Guys, I have to say, it feels so good to be back in the office. If you watched my video from last week, you could finally see why I was just filming outside and I was just in all these different places. It's because we lived in a trailer for the last 2 months. But we're finally getting situated. I've got the office back and it looks pretty similar to the previous setup that I had. There's a couple things different, but like I said, I'm so grateful to be back in the office and making another video for you guys. So getting right into it, I've got a little bit of beef with the way that society has just kind of forced everybody to build out their lifestyle. Everybody has this cookie cutter plan that for so long seemed to work for our parents and our grandparents, but it really doesn't work like that anymore. For so long, you would go to school, you would get good grades, you'd graduate high school, then you'd go on to college and get good grades, and then you'd graduate. You'd get a job, you would work there for 40 to 50 years, and then you would retire comfortably. And sadly, that's just not how it works anymore. I have a brother who actually graduated from college yesterday, and I'm so proud of him. I mean, I realize all the work that goes into that. But now he's in the stage where he's got to find a job, and for so long that was just kind of expected, right? You go to college and then you get a job. Now he's in this phase where it's really hard to find a job. Wasn't that just part of the plan? You go to school and then you get a good paying job and then you're set for life, right? He's finding out that that's really just not the case anymore. Now, I want to make it very clear, I'm not hating on college. I myself went to a 4-year university and I fully 100% admit that I would not be where I'm at right now if I hadn't done so. But I know for a fact that in this day and age, it is no longer required for you to go to college to get a good high-paying job. If you know exactly what you want to do, if you know exactly the field that you want to go into, college can be a really great thing. But if you're just going through the motions and you have no direction and you just feel like you should be going to college because that's kind of the next part of the plan, that's the next step that everybody tells you to do, then that's not such a good idea. You can come out of college with hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt and not have a job to be able to pay those back. If you come out of college and you have all of this debt, it's kind of like starting a marathon with a bullet wound in your foot. How do you expect to kind of begin this race that we call life when you're bleeding all over the place? College is great. There's nothing wrong about college, and I totally plan on making a separate video where I kind of, talk about my opinion with that. But college teaches you how to get a job. It does not teach you how to thrive or how to be wealthy. Now, I need to get back on topic because this video is not about college or hating on college, but it is talking about some of the shortcuts that I've already learned that I wish I had known when I had just come out of college. Today, we're talking about how to build wealth starting from nothing. Or you may be saying, Bryce, I'm starting with less than nothing. Like I have debt right now. I have a negative net worth. I'm drowning in debt and I don't know what to do. And I want you to understand that I 100% understand exactly where you're coming from because I did the exact same thing. I went to college, I did the exact same thing, I graduated with debt, and I had that metaphorical bullet wound in my foot and I was just bleeding debt all over the place. So this is what changed for me though. I had this kind of mental switch that flipped in my brain and it changed the way I thought about everything. At this time in my life, I was living in an apartment with a couple of guys and I was paying $375 a month for just a single bedroom in this apartment. I was barely making ends meet, and I remember thinking to myself, man, if I just somehow could get out of rent, if I didn't have to pay my rent, I'd have so much more breathing room in my life. Like I could just relax. And then I thought to myself, hold on a second. Is there some way for me to not pay rent? And then I realized that if I were to purchase a home, bring my current roommates with me, I could live for free and have an extra $375 in my pocket every single month. Now, let me ask you this. If you personally had an extra $400 a month in your budget, is that a life-changing amount? No, of course not. I mean, $400 is not the difference between being broke or being super wealthy. But does it help? Yeah, I mean, that absolutely. It takes a lot of stress off if you were just to have a little bit more money in your budget. So I scrimped and I saved and I was working my butt off to make enough money to get a down payment for this house. I started selling a lot of my personal belongings just to get enough money so that I could close on this property. Eventually, I had come up with $4,400, which was the amount that I needed to close on the house. And at this time, $4,400, that was the most money I had ever had in my entire life. I remember taking all the $100 bills and fanning it out on the floor of my apartment and kind of not wanting to spend it because it was so much money to me. So I bought the house. It was in pretty good shape. It needed a little bit of work. I cleaned up the yard here, fixed up a few things there. But over the course of 2 years, I lived for free. And then when I sold that house, guess how much money I made? I walked away with $40,000. I remember holding the check in my hand and thinking to myself, $40,000. That's more than I make in an entire year, and I'm holding it in my hand. I remember thinking to myself, I don't know how you just did that, but whatever you did, do it again. Guys, this is when the light bulb clicked for me. Obviously, you already know I love real estate, but believe it or not, this video is actually not about real estate at all. What clicked for me was the fact that I realized that a home was most likely the most expensive commodity that a person will purchase in their life. So let me put this into perspective. Let's say I was selling candy bars. I could stand on a street corner and I could sell candy bars for $1 a piece. And in order to retire, I would have to, sell like 8 million candy bars. If I sold them for $1, there'd probably be costs associated with that. I would have to sell 8 million candy bars to have enough money to retire and sustain me throughout the rest of my life. That would take a couple lifetimes to be able to sell 8 million candy bars. That's a lot. Now, what if instead of selling candy, I started to sell cars? What if I made $5,000 off of every car I sold? Now, don't get me wrong, I would hate and probably be a terrible used car salesman, but I can 100% say that I would much rather sell one car than 5,000 candy bars. So I think you probably see where I'm going, but taking this a step further, I would have to sell 8 of those cars, making $5,000 profit each, to make the same amount of money that I had just made on the sale of my house. And again, let me say, this is not about real estate. I'm just saying that, putting it into perspective, you can make a lot more money selling real estate than I could selling candy bars. I mean, if elephants were the commodity, if selling elephants was the way to make the largest amount of money in the shortest amount of time, I'd be selling elephants. It all comes down to making the most amount of money in the least amount of work. If I wanted to retire early, I realized that selling 100 homes was much easier and much more achievable than selling 8 million candy bars. For that entire 2 years, I lived completely for free, and then at the end of it, I walked away with a check for $40,000. Not only that, but my biggest expense in my life up to that point, my rent, it had completely vanished. It just disappeared. The amount of stress in my life that I had previously to come up with this rent every single month, just like that, it vanished. It disappeared out of my life. That stress was instantly gone because of one deal. Yes, please. How can I do that again? From the proceeds of that house, we took that $40,000, we paid off all of my student loans, and we dumped that into our next 2 properties. Those 2 properties cash flowed $1,000 per month. Then we used that cash flow and we used it to pay off all of our credit card debt, all of our car debt. We got rid of all of our debt. In a matter of months, our debt had just vanished. It was gone. It's amazing what an extra $1,000 per month can do for your life. And once we paid off all of our debt, those 2 units turned into 4, and those 4 units have turned into 8. So if I had to summarize this whole video, it's this. It's that you need to be in business for yourself. When you work for somebody else, you're furthering their agenda and you're not helping yourself. If you're working for somebody else, you will never get ahead. You cannot be wealthy working for somebody else. Like I said, I personally choose real estate because it's the largest commodity that I know of that most people are going to purchase in their lifetime at least once. Even if you're just to skim 10% off the top of a real estate transaction, that can be tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. When it comes to real estate, the margins are so big that even a tiny percentage can add up to a lot of money. Rather than making an $800 paycheck here or a $500 paycheck there, you should be making $30,000 or $50,000 because these huge chunks of change, that's what's gonna advance you so much further in life. By doing this, I've been able to create a net worth of $400,000 in only 4 years. Now, I plan on doing a full-blown video exactly on how I did that, but I don't know a faster way to do that, to build wealth, than through real estate. And that is exactly why I'm sharing this information with you. That's it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm really excited, like I said, to be back in the office. Can't wait to make some more videos for you guys. So if you like what you see, be sure to give me that thumbs up. And as always, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below for me. We'll see you guys next week.